Hi guys, we are here at the ELF HQ with Sophie Doyle.
Hello.
And we are going to be chatting all things building her brand, mum life, and everything that goes in between, all of the behind the scenes, so that you guys can really get to know what happens behind the glossy photos. So thanks for joining me on the couch.
No worries.
It's my favorite color, pink. Sorry, and I didn't actually mean to, but I've come
You've
on brand
matched.
today.
Very on brand.
Matching. So thank you so much for joining us. I would love you to maybe start with how the idea of ELF came about and where it all started, because I think we caught up once for coffee in Applecross when you were kind of just starting out and you were on maternity leave, and
years
we
ago.
did a pop-up sale together.
Yes, we
in
did.
the city.
We did. Yes, that's right. I forgot about that. That would have been what?
A long time ago.
3 and a bit years ago, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. So ELF is a baby bag brand, and basically I started the label when I, as you know, was pregnant with my first child, Ari, who is now, she's almost 5. And it was really because I couldn't find I knew that I was going to have lots and lots of things that I needed to carry as a new mum, as you do. And I was looking for something that was going to suit my own style, but also if I was going to spend some money on it, it needed to be something that I was going to be able to use for a long time. And the options that were available were pretty average. And, you know, I looked on the web and really there wasn't a lot that was within Australia, for instance. There was a few companies that had sort of, not probably things that weren't really my style either, but from overseas.
And they were probably functional, but not
functional, but they
pretty.
just didn't look nice.
Yeah.
And they, you know, if I'm going to carry it every day, I wanted it to suit my own style and be a reflection of me and not just this kind of dowdy, ugly bag that I'm going to want to throw away after I got the use out of it that I needed. And I realized that just a normal handbag wasn't really going to cut it. You need lots of pockets. And, you know, I think one of the main things now down the track, being, you know, obviously not a first-time mum anymore, is that the more organised you are, the less stressed you are. So
I think that's key for anyone. I mean, I know myself, even just with the handbag situation, I have a million things and I'm not even a mum yet, so I can't even imagine all the things you need to take. So it's amazing that you've come up with something that's caters to that.
That caters to that, and that's right. And I think that I'd been looking at all these sort of bigger handbags and thinking, oh, I don't, you know, that they look nice, but functionally they're just not going to work. So I had a go at sort of designing one for myself, and I was going up to Indonesia on a holiday. And so I had it made, and then it was never really meant to be a business. It was for myself. And then I had lots of other mums ask me, oh, where did you get that bag from? Is it a baby bag? And I was like, well, yeah, I suppose it's a baby bag, but I had it made myself. And so then all of a sudden I started getting people asking me, do you think you could get me one made? You know, can you contact where you got it made from and get them to make one for me? And I thought, well, maybe there's a little hobby business in this. You know, it's always nice to have a project when you've got a newborn child. And so I suppose it was really only then, and I thought, well, maybe I should just give this a shot and see what I can do. And so I went back up to Indonesia and had really, really bad time trying to find a manufacturer, and it was a bit of a disaster. Until I finally was about to just let that all go. And then, oh, hang on. Hi. Which is some of the team coming in from the post office. Where was I? So I had a hard time trying to find a manufacturer, and then almost just decided to throw in the towel. And then had one last ditch effort at trying to find a supplier in China, because I'd heard from a lot of people that I'd spoken to that the Chinese leather manufacturing industry was actually really high quality. And even though, you know, there used to be obviously a lot of stigma about Chinese manufactured things.
I still think there is a little bit. I mean, I get questions sometimes and people ask, where is your stuff made? And China actually has so many regulations, and if you do your research, they're so much more regulated than a lot of other
Absolutely.
countries
Yep.
that are out there
Yep.
that claim to be, you know, more ethical. So
Yeah, correct. Because I had looked into using manufacturers in India, Vietnam, and China. And China by far was the most professional, the most ethical. They were, in terms of being able to do business online, they were streets ahead of everywhere else that I had looked into. I'd also looked into Australia. That was my first point of call, but you know, sadly, we just don't have the industry here to be able to manufacture leather goods. Everything actually would need to be imported from China to be able to manufacture it here. So firstly, that doesn't make sense for carbon footprint anyway. And also the costs were just extreme. And I didn't want to price my products, you know, out of the market, as in I wanted to be able to afford the bag that I was trying to sell. So that's why I ended up going with China. And then it kind of just grew from there.
amazing.
Yeah.
And so obviously you said being a mum, so you started this when you first had your firstborn.
Yep.
I want to talk about, and we mentioned this a little bit before, and I've spoken to a lot of different clients or women in business, and they sometimes let the fact that they're a mum hold them back from chasing their dreams or feeling like they can make it more than just a hobby, you know, because they feel like they're first, which your first responsibility probably is your kids, but, you know, you can make it a huge success as well, you know, and chase your dreams and make them really big. You don't have to play small just because you have all these other things on the cards. So how did you deal with that?
Yep, absolutely. So I think probably prior to having children, I was never, I'll be honest, I was never a very maternal person. And I knew that I wanted to have children, but for me, my career was really important to me. And I spent a lot of time building up my career in marketing and PR. Through, you know, working in agencies and in-house and things like that. And so when I had my daughter, obviously all of a sudden I did feel very maternal, and I knew that she was my number one priority, and I wanted to be able to spend as much time with her as I possibly could. So when I had made the decision to, you know, obviously transfer this idea of my own baby bag into a possible little business, that I thought, what a great opportunity to be able to, you know, have a project firstly, because as a career driven person, all of a sudden you have a baby and you're at home all the time. Not having a project for me was just not an option. I would have probably just bored myself to tears and wanted to go back to full-time work probably sooner than, you know, I got the opportunity to. Anyway, so I think that having a project was really important for me. And then you don't have time, but you do have time. You make time for yourself. I think when you become a mum, obviously things are very overwhelming for the first few months, for sure. Definitely I just think the first few months of being a mother is just insane. But it was really nice to have something else to concentrate on. And Ari, my daughter, was a really good sleeper. So I think that also is probably something that if your child is not a good sleeper, then it would be much more difficult to start a business, because you're probably just fatigued all the time trying to just survive. But for me, she was a really good sleeper. So I had a few hours a day where I was able to potter around and, you know, do my project business.
Yeah.
And then as she got older, I just made it work. You know, I did work a lot in the evenings when we were starting to dispatch orders. Fortunately, I've got a really supportive husband, and he was sitting there on the couch with me, you know, processing orders at night and me responding to customer inquiries and things like that. But I suppose you just fit the business around your lifestyle. And I think it's different for everybody, but for me, I found it really empowering to be able to have my own project as well as being a mum.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that message. So in the beginning, did you have any sort of self-doubt or like, what am I doing? Or did you just have your eye on, I'm going to make this, I know everyone will love it, and sort of have your eye on the end goal? Because I feel like there's two sorts of people, I guess. There's the people that are like, I'm just going to do whatever it takes and charge through. Or did you have any of those sort of mindset blocks along the way? And everyone sometimes questions themselves, but it's whether you kind of work through them or you sit there in feeling that.
So yes, I think I'm naturally a very determined person. So if I have an idea, I'll be like, I'm going to do this, and I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm just going to figure it out and wing it. And finally I'll get to the result that I'm looking for. So that's probably more me. I do think, however, I do catch myself occasionally having self-doubt. I mean, that's natural for everybody. I think the fact that I came from a marketing background, for me, the business side of things that's always been a really big challenge. And, you know, the financials and understanding how a small business actually needs to run efficiently was something that I had to learn on the fly. But it's about surrounding yourself with people who are better at that than you. You know? So I have now consultants and accountants and bookkeepers, and I don't do that side of the business because that to me is not my strength. Work to your strengths and not your weaknesses, and surround yourself with people that can do it.
And what advice would you give to people who are starting out, who maybe can't afford, you know, a consultant in every area? What would you advise them to? Because I'm the same. I would recommend people, rather than sit there struggling and wasting all this time on something that you don't enjoy or you're not good at, to outsource. But then also there is obviously a cost involved. So what did you do in the early days?
For the financial side of the business? So I gave it a shot myself. There's obviously this is obviously back in the very beginning, there's lots of different programs that you can use to you know, QuickBooks and Xero, which is what we use now, is quite sophisticated. I didn't start with that. I used the most basic of bookkeeping, which my accountant would probably be, you know, rolling his eyes right now, because I'm sure it took a while for them to smooth out things. But I think you just need to give it a go, and if you feel like it is absolutely overwhelming, then that's what you need to outsource.
Definitely. I remember in the early days, I had a spreadsheet for all my sales and all my expenses. Whenever a sale come through online, I would put it in my spreadsheet, like one by one. That didn't last too long because I just was
very
so manual. So I use Xero as well. It's an amazing tool. Everything just syncs on over, and it's as automated as you can get.
And so try and automate everything as you go along. As if you find an area that you can automate it.
Automation is so cool, because I mean, we both come from digital marketing, so it's kind of what we work to. But there's so many things you can automate. We were just speaking before, so what else do you sort of outsource now? I know obviously you have an amazing team here, but what is sort of your role in the day-to-day activities now?
So my role now is probably more, well, it's definitely obviously creative direction for the products. I still do all the designing, and I liaise directly with the manufacturers, and because obviously when you're working with Chinese manufacturers, the relationship is 100% the biggest factor of success. So being able to keep that relationship has been really, really important. Obviously at the moment it's difficult because we can't travel to go over and actually see people face to face. So that to me is really important to keep that going on my side, and obviously doing the designing, overseeing, you know, the different areas of the business and making sure that they're running as well as they can, finding holes in our processes and trying to, you know, work through ways to troubleshoot that. Obviously supporting each of the girls within the team on what they're doing and giving them some direction. We have so myself and 3 other people who work in marketing now, and obviously being a marketing background, I set the strategy and then the girls roll it out for us, which is amazing. And so probably more of a coordination side of things, and then getting advice from people like accountants and my business advisor and our digital marketing strategist and things like that, to get advice on how we can then bring in better processes, and then I sort of distribute that to the team.
Awesome. And another thing that I think a lot of people get stuck on is finding a niche. And obviously your bags are beautiful. Anyone could use them. You could have just gone mass market and said, hi, here's some beautiful handbags for ladies. Plus we might have a nappy mat in there, or change mat is probably the correct term. So what made that your decision that was, I'm going down this strict niche, and that's obviously worked to your advantage, which everyone should be going as niche as possible. And you've built this amazing mum community around it. So talk us through that process.
So at the beginning, I did bring out the first 2 bags and they are purely a baby bag. I mean, you obviously, like you said, you can use them for anything. We have doctors, teachers, photographers, all fur mums, all sorts of different sort of categories of customers now who use our bags, but essentially they are a baby bag. And then there was a stage there where I had brought out a few smaller bags, handbags, like you said, just to test the market to see whether we would be better positioned in the handbag area or if we were better positioned in the baby bag area. And they definitely were, they were a successful product, but to our existing customers more so to new customers. So that was a very big indication that no, definitely stay in your niche and produce other products which fit that, you know, that customer audience.
And I think just on that, the key is to try.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work, then, you know, scrap it and move on.
Absolutely.
And people are too scared to sometimes try. And it would have been an investment, right? You're not just trying something for free. You've got to purchase and invest and design in these products, which would take months.
Yeah.
But the key is to just try.
You've got to give it a go.
You've got to go, and then you never know, because every business and every customer and every audience is so different that really you have to try it for yourself and to know.
You've got to learn. Obviously, even having something that isn't your most successful product, you're going to have so many learnings that you've made just from producing that line of goods.
Definitely.
So it's almost important to have those not so successful things, because otherwise you're not going to learn from anything, which is, so along the way we've tried different things and sort of fallen back into our baby bag niche. And we're quite happy there now.
Awesome. Good. You guys are sort of, if people are having a baby and they're thinking of getting a baby bag, you guys are the ones they would probably think of. I mean, I can't think of one. I'm not in the niche specifically, but you would have to be one of the most specific baby bag company that does what you do in Australia.
In Australia, definitely, I would say so. There are other beautiful baby bag companies out there, but I think our bags they do look very different to a lot of other brands that are available. So that's probably where we are, slightly different outside of that.
Awesome. Another thing, because your background is marketing and you guys do such an amazing job of brand and your social media, and you guys are always active on there and showing yourself as well, talk us through a little bit about that. So was that a conscious decision? Was that just come naturally to you? And did you decide, yes, I want to be the face of the brand, or no, I would want to stay behind the scenes, and you just happened to get out there?
Well, obviously, like you said, having a marketing background, I knew sort of how I wanted to position the business in the first place. However, saying that, having had a marketing background, I was usually behind the scenes. You know, I'd done PR for a very long time and written speeches and all sorts of other sort of PR functions, but never been in front of the camera. So that was probably something which was the biggest mental challenge to get over, was the fear of having to be on camera. And it's probably taken me a good 3 years to really feel comfortable and not have to take many different takes, you know, when you're trying to get a message out. I still stumble over my words now, because it doesn't really come naturally to me. But I know at the same time that, especially because we're an e-commerce business, our customers need to be able to connect with somebody. And obviously, being the designer and the founder of the business, that person really does need to be me. So I guess it's just something that I knew had to happen, and then I just had to go for it. And you know, there's ways that you can get over your fear, you know, using a filter, or you know, having stickers on there, and all sorts of different like Instagram tools that you can use to make yourself not feel so exposed on camera. Use it in black and white for a little while and things like that. You know, there's all sorts of different things that you can do, and just practice.
Exactly. I love the fact that you said it took 3 years to get there, because I was the same. The first time I got onto live, I said, "Hi, I'm Jess," forgot what I was going to say. But you know, that's one step closer to remembering next time, and then next time it will come naturally. So I think like the key for anyone is to give it a go. If you screw it up, I think the key is to not delete it as well.
Yes.
To maybe do it as a live, like we are here. If I screw it up right now, it's already out there.
I was just about to say that I actually find that even for myself, that doing an Instagram live is almost less, once you get over that, it's going to be live. Once you get over that initial fear of people like sitting there watching you, it's actually less intimidating because I think you just feel more comfortable kind of talking and rolling things off of your tongue. Whereas if you're doing a piece to camera recorded, you think, I wasn't meant to say that, hang on, or I didn't say that quite as what, I'm up to the minute already, I've got to stop the video, and then you kind of get into a bit of a tailspin. So it's sometimes easier just to set the camera up and just start talking.
Yeah, no, I love that tip. So do you have any more tips if someone's in their business looking to take it to the next level, or even just starting out? Do you have any words of wisdom or sort of things that you learned along the way that really helped you?
From the very beginning, I think one of the things that I always say to people is make sure that your finances are in order and understand your cost of goods. Like if you don't understand your own margins, you've got no visibility as to how much you can spend safely, and even so much as how much you can put your products on sale for. Like having a markdown strategy is actually really important, because you don't want to be marking your products down so much that you're then not going to be making anything. And you've got to do things like making sure that you're incorporating your shipping costs and your storage costs and all of those different overheads. And until you really truly can get a good picture of that, you don't have a successful business.
And was that something you knew from straight away, or did you sort of make a few mistakes in that area and learn from them?
Yeah, and especially because when I started my hobby business, which I always call it, when I started, I genuinely thought it was going to be a hobby, and that I would be selling to people that I knew, friends of friends, or someone that just, liked the look of my bag. Oh yeah, cool, I've got one at home, here, you can buy it from me. That was probably my biggest mistake, was not starting a business with the view of actually it becoming an actual business. And therefore not putting things in place like incorporating all of those costs into your margins. And I had to have a few price increases in the beginning over the first couple of years to actually start pricing the products as they should be. Because there's one thing about wanting to set your products within a particular price point, but if that's not realistic, then why are you even bothering?
Exactly. And so you don't wholesale currently. Is that an area where you'd look to go?
No, because obviously wholesale, from a margins perspective, wholesale, it's a lot more work to be able to manage all of your wholesalers. I was going to, and then COVID hit, and then I've had a bit of a change of strategy, so now we're going to stay just purely online. And that's partly because I like the idea of being able to control the customer service or the customer experience for people. It's hard when you do have other wholesalers, because you don't know how they're going to merchandise your products, how visually it's going to look when you walk into a store, and also just to be able to sell through your range, to be able to bring something new out. It's also difficult when you've got wholesalers. So one of the things that I really love about our brand is that we're not mass produced, like we produce in smaller quantities to try and control the quality. And also so that we've got a little bit of scope to be able to have things that feel a little bit limited for people. If someone's going to be spending the money on a purchase, they want it to feel special. They don't want it to feel like it's the same bag that every other person has got out there. And over the years, we've had a number of comments and things from feedback from customers to say, I really loved your brand because it wasn't like everybody else's. There's a few brands out there that were very popular prior to us sort of coming into the market, and we've been, people have literally said, I love it because it's not something that you see everywhere. So being able to run small batches and change the colours up and change the materials, that's really important to us. So wholesaling and having that strategy would be much more difficult.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I love that, because sometimes, people get so caught in, I want to just go bigger, but you've made the conscious decision and you were sort of going that route. And I think COVID's made a lot of us realise we need to just streamline rather than making things so complicated.
That's right.
And I love that you just made that conscious decision to say, actually, no, we want to keep control. We want to, keep it streamlined and all run within you guys. So
exactly. And so that's really nice. And also being able to, now we're in Fremantle, obviously we've chatted about this off air, is that we've just moved from a big warehouse space about 10 minutes from here, and now we're down in the centre of Fremantle, which is a really lovely sort of old town in Perth here, and we're now going to be able to offer local pickup for customers, which is something that we've never been able to do. So we will at least have one touch point, physical touch point, for people to be able to come and see the office and come and touch and feel the product.
And I think it comes back to that branding experience, because as soon as you walk in here, and I'll show you guys later maybe, it feels like your brand. It's what it is. So you've done an amazing job on every single touch point. Including most of the time you guys are all on brand with what you're wearing and everything.
That's almost unintentional. I think we all just live and breathe.
Well, I think maybe subconsciously I was thinking that, because this is the only spotty thing I own, and I didn't even think about it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm blending with the walls. But yeah, I love that, and I think that's something that a lot of people can't get their head around, is that end-to-end brand experience. And obviously you've got an amazing background in that. So I think that's really important, and you coach people on their branding as well. So maybe just tell us a little bit about that and how that works.
So I think it's probably similar to you in that you started a brand, and it was obviously successful for its own reasons, and then you just want to help other people who are struggling in those areas. And I think that I almost think that the coaching part of what I do is almost my favorite part of anything that I do. Obviously not apart from being a mum, obviously. Let's just clarify that. But I really love being able to help people overcome those roadblocks and being able to make their brand visually more appealing, because it is so important when you're operating on social media and things like that.
So you work with them on a bit of a brand strategy, and then also do you work with a designer and help them make that visual?
So I usually, because I work with clients who are all over Australia, all over the world actually, so I will usually give them recommendations as to the sorts of graphic designers that I would recommend, or the sorts of consultants that I think would fit their brand. And it differs, because with designers, as you know, there can be 10 different designers with 10 different styles, and they're not, just because one person is within your price point, their style might not suit your brand. It's really important to get out of that mindset of, I'll just go and find a graphic designer for however much and that will do me. That's not really how it works anymore. You need to find people that really resonate with your brand to be able to create the best result.
Awesome. So just before we finish up, is there any last things you want to leave everyone with?
I don't know. I've got so many things to say, but we've had a very good chat about all sorts of different things.
It's been really awesome to get to know it a bit more. I mean, I don't think I've probably seen you in person since...
not for a long time, especially with COVID.
So a lot has happened. And it's been amazing to watch your journey as well in the growth.
You.
So
thanks.
Thanks for sharing
good to chat.
all of your knowledge with everyone today, and a bit more behind the scenes so you guys can see what happens in a successful baby bag brand. Is that what you would call it? What do you have, a snazzier word?
Well, no. And it's funny actually. I think even 4 years, or it'll be 4 years this October. Even 4 years down the track, I still, when people say, what do you do? I'm like, I have a baby bag brand, but I feel like that doesn't really quite hit the spot. And even having only recently written an elevator pitch for the brand, that's something that I think is actually really important for all brands, is to write an elevator pitch. If you had 30 seconds to, sell yourself to someone in a lift, what are you going to say to them? It's actually really difficult to do. And because baby bags have a bit of a stigma as to not being so pretty and nice, that's where I find it difficult to say, what do we do? So we usually just say a luxury baby bag brand or luxury leather bags, but it just depends on who you're talking to.
I love that. Well, again, thank you so much for having me
Anytime.
on your couch, and it's a very beautiful couch too.
Thanks so much, Jess.
Thank you. See ya.